almost all those guys, so I've known them for years. We came up through the minor leagues together. You've been through the wars, been around these, crummy hotels and, road trips and stuff. And now you're in the major leagues. It's a closer bond than I think other teams where guys are just kind of put together like a bunch of free agents or something.
We golfed together. We hung out together. When we were on the road, we ate together. But in the bullpen, Dave LaRoche and Barry Foote really made sure that just whatever we needed.
These guys were phenomenal. They kind of set an atmosphere down there, and it was just very comfortable.
I remember Dave LaRoche one time brought in a VHS. Obviously, we're dating ourselves there. But he brings in a movie, Patton. And we're in there watching this movie on a TV.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser.
Dave LaRoche, he'd call a bullpen meeting. First time I'm doing this, like, oh, crap. He goes, don't even change. Just come back out here. We go out there. He's got like a whole cooler full of beer. And we just sat there and drank and talked for a couple hours out there in the ballpark. Whole ballpark empty. We're out there. We didn't talk at all about pitching, baseball, or nothing. We just hung out for a couple hours. That was our meeting out there. Got back together again after that. So it was an effective meeting, I'd say.
You'd sit there and you'd talk to the fans during a game. They were asking questions, your likes, your dislikes. There was one fan that he had me sign a cowbell back there, and here I am a drummer, and I use a cowbell because I play in a country band.
We talk about the lefties are a little bit odd in a way, and I agree, especially the lefties from California, Wayne Edwards and Radinsky.
I was working at St. John St. Joe's Cemetery, so I'd be digging graves during the day, and if the Sox were in town, I would leave there, go to Sox Park. Radinsky would ask me almost every day, hey, do you have any funerals today?
We love Radinsky. So much talent. He could throw the ball super hard. He was different, unique. Again, lefty from California. It might have worked out better for him that he didn't even know who any of his hitters were. He was not in awe of anybody because he didn't know who George Brett was. He's talking about, I got that lefty out. Well, I think it was Keith Hernandez at the time. Like, it was Keith Hernandez. He goes, I don't know who it was. I don't know. Yeah, I just threw him this breaking ball, whatever.
You got to remember, this is a time when how popular was ESPN at this time? I mean, there certainly wasn't an internet. I grew up on the West Coast. I didn't know a whole lot about the American League. I was a Dodger fan. And you know the superstars in the game. Like, I'd be lying if I said I didn't know who George Brett was or who Keith Hernandez was. But it might sound cocky, but I just didn't care. He
started dating Ozzy's sister-in-law. I think it's his wife's sister. And I think she didn't speak any English. And we're like, what kind of a relationship is this? We got Radinsky, this kind of off-the-wall guy from California, and how is this going to work out?
He had two young boys that would always come over towards my locker. I think I was the only guy on the team that would play with them. And we were on a road trip in Texas, and there was a water park across the street. So, I'm trying to always rally up the bullpen guys. Let's go over to the water park. And it was like, we're not going over there. It's 110 degrees. We got to pitch. I guess I had the energy. So I went over there one day, and she was there with the two boys. So that's kind of how it started that day. And I cruised around the park with them, and we rode the rides. And he was super welcoming, totally cool about them. Obviously I had respect.
We had a day off, and everybody comes back after the day off near the ballpark, and everybody's like, hey, what'd you do on your off day? Oh, I went golfing. We did this and that. I went to the museum or something. Rad, what did you do? I flew to Vegas and got married. What? I think they're still happily married, which is great. It worked out well for them.
I was excited to always hand the ball off to the bullpen with a lead. Barry was the kind of guy you want to meet up and go down to the bar and have a beer and sit down. I want to say I had like 12 no decisions in 90. Barry was like 10-2 out of the bullpen. And I used to tease him all the time. And he's out there gobbling the goop. He sees a win out there. Maybe he might let in a run, tie it up, and then he puts up a 0, and we score like 4 in the 8th, and he gets that win.
Even though we're the same age, he just seemed like a throwback kind of guy. He seemed like he'd been there for 10 years already. I mean, just a great attitude towards the game, towards life, and just a great person overall.
Before the game would start, the bullpen would walk out, from their dugout straight out to the bullpen in center field. I always took the route of going along the stands, all the way along the third base line, all around the left field, because I would talk to the fans all the time. I felt like I was one of them, and I figured they'd really appreciate and think it'd be kind of cool to get the chance to talk to one of the players.
That's the mayor. That's what I called him, the mayor. I mean, what a great thing for him, though, if you think about it and look back. Being from Chicago, being able to play for the team that you actually rooted for when you were growing up.
What I did learn is that guys did not have to be intense all the time during a game. It wasn't like that.
We paid attention, but we weren't like extremely in it. We were just, the game was in the background. We were watching. If something happened, we'd pop our heads up and look. But we weren't hanging on, clinging on to every single pitch. You know, those Game Boys became popular. We had tournaments out in the bullpen, you know, playing Game Boys against each other. And it was a way to kind of not take away focus, but not be overly focused. And like I said, pay attention, but also be relaxed enough to where when the phone did ring, it wasn't panic.
But as soon as that bullpen phone rang, we all looked, and the next thing you know, see who's up. That was a huge gate. They had to have two guys open up the gate when you came out, and the fans going bananas. 46,000 people going crazy. Once you hit that bump, and you get up there and you kind of do a couple of things, going, here we go, I'm gonna start warming up, and it's just, you kind of see everybody behind. It is just an ominous feeling. It's like a gladiator feeling, you know, and I think of it, you know, are you not entertained?
If it's the ninth inning, it must be Thiggy time. Tremendous numbers, 56 saves on the year, 10 better than anybody's ever done.